So far through this series, we've gone through a lot of the secrets hidden within Red Dead Redemption 2, and today that continues. This game is proving to have endless amounts of small details, Easter eggs, and secrets for us, the player, to discover. But I do want to take a second and say thank you for all the support on this series. It really has been fun digging deeper into Red Dead Redemption 2 with you guys. All the messages, comments, and likes really has been awesome, and as usual, if you guys want more, just make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing. Nonetheless, we're going to start with a side mission that is called Geology for Beginners. This can be started by heading just north and outside of the town of Strawberry, and you'll make your way to a small cabin where you meet and interact with this strange man.
Eating me?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'll dry up.
What?
See, Hey, can I ask you a strange question? I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but I'm on the level.
I don't have a clue what you just said.
Well, I'm sorry, sport. There's these funny rock carvings. They look a bit like this.
Okay.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I sort of really badly have to find all of them. Now, it's sort of a puzzle thingamy. I know, it sounds ridiculous, but I'm on the up and up, and it's really important.
Little rock carvings.
Yeah, exactly, little rock carvings.
What do you want to do with them?
Well, it's sort of very complicated, and you'll think I'm jazzed if I tell you.
You're what?
Drunk?
Are you?
No, I wish. No, I'm, lost. It's a long story. Can you find the carvings?
I have no idea.
Well, I sort of need them. Hey, listen, if you find them, I'll pay you handsomely. Send me details, if you can. Here's my card.
And if I can't?
Well, I'm sure you can, sport. I'm sure you can. Francis Sinclair.
Arthur Morgan.
Pleasure.
I don't understand. Why do you need these things?
Well, I told you. If I told you, you'd think I was on the hooch.
The what?
I'm gonna have a lie down. I don't feel very well. And neither would you if... but, hey, what harm could it do?
What a lunatic.
So, early observation is that Francis has a connection to the Grand Theft Auto series because of his appearance. Specifically, if you go to the Epsilon program website, there's an image of an individual that shares a similarity with Francis, and it's stated those who have that birthmark, that means he is a descendant of Kraft, which is a deity worshipped by the Epsilon program. And for those not caught up on GTA 5 or the Grand Theft Auto series, well, Epsilon is pretty much a religious cult with some crazy beliefs like they think dinosaurs are fake news. But anyway, many believe there is a connection of Francis Sinclair to the religious cult, but besides Epsilon, Francis wears a more modern outfit and talks very different than anyone from this era, which is kind of strange. But his task of us finding rock carvings takes us all over the world of Red Dead Redemption 2, and I have to say some of these carvings are strange, but thanks to the Red Dead Wiki, here's a simple guide to all the locations you need to find, and after you do all of that, the findings need to be mailed, in which 24 hours after doing that, we received a reward and a message from Francis. His letter shows his excitement that we have accomplished our task, but he invites Arthur Morgan back to his cabin to show us what he's been doing and why he needed us to collect the carvings in the first place. But he also interestingly makes mention of traveling soon, so he asks for us to come see him soon before he leaves. So once we make our way back to his cabin, something very weird happens.
Hello? Hello? Mr. Sinclair? Huh?
Oh, hello? Can I help you?
Oh, I'm sorry for intruding. Mrs. Sinclair?
Yes. How did you know?
I'm looking for your husband.
My husband?
Yeah.
He's dead. He's been dead since just before Francis was born 1 year ago.
Your husband, Francis, is dead?
No, this is Francis. My husband, Tom, is dead.
I'm a little confused.
Yes, I think you are. What was your name?
That's not important. Excuse me.
Pretty much Francis is no longer here, and it appears he has time traveled to a different time period, but we do meet his mother holding Francis now as a baby. But inside the house we can examine the work Francis was doing, which seems to show Francis traveling through a portal to various moments in history. We can see pyramids to a big city to the Wild West, and other drawings which involve space, a machine, and a whole lot more. It's unclear if there is more to this mystery or if there will be more, but this definitely is one of the strangest encounters in the game, tomb, which still leaves me scratching my head wondering what was the purpose of the carvings and why did we need to find them. But next, this time going to Emerald Ranch, many have been wondering what is going on with this location and the girl in the window. Some believe this location to be haunted, and others believe the girl to be a kidnapped princess from Luxembourg. If you approach the man in front of the house, he strangely is extremely hostile towards the player, and if you go to the closed down saloon, there's blood on the floor and a picture of a girl remains, which looks strange during the night. Now, this mystery really begins for Arthur when talking to Hosea Matthews, or the NPC interaction in which Arthur helps a woman and brings her back home.
The owner's a mean bastard. Strange, too. Delights in bullying folk. There's a daughter, but she never leaves the house. You can see her in the window sometimes. When I asked about her, everybody told me to leave it alone. Found an old saloon there, all shut down now, but I went in to have a look, and there's bullet holes, old blood stains. Something definitely happened there, but I couldn't figure it.
So what is exactly going on? Well, the answer lies just outside of Fort Wallace, where a mail cart is left behind, and Arthur Morgan can find a few letters left behind, one of which is for the girl in the window who is named Miriam Wegner, and her cousin Annabelle writes her saying, "I decided that I would write to you again because even though our worlds seem so far apart these days, I think of you often. New York is crowded and dirty, but so alive. It feels like anything is possible, even for a country girl like me, and my biggest news is that I have been cast in a Henrik Ibsen play. It is a small role, but now I can finally call myself a Broadway actress. Sometimes I do miss home though, the peace and the clean air, being able to take a ride at first light. I received a letter from Lily Millet a while back, and it appears that she is experiencing some financial difficulties. She was always very sensible with money, so I am worried that Weasel Cooper has his claws in her again. She also mentioned that she has not seen you leave the house in months. I cannot even begin to imagine how painful it must have been for you to lose Joshua in such a horrible way, and I would never assume to instruct you how to grieve, but I worry about you existing in such isolation. This must be the 6th letter I've sent you with no response. Please let me know that you are alright, even if it is just the shortest of notes to tell me to mind my own business. You can tell me anything. Your loving cousin, Annabelle. P.S. Uncle Eugene. With the greatest of respect, if you are withholding my mail from Miriam, or dare I say, constraining her in any other way, I beg you to reconsider your actions. I know how much you love her, but please do not confuse love with possession. She is a beautiful, intelligent woman with so much life ahead of her." So yeah, it seems that Miriam may have had a relationship with Joshua, who also has a grave nearby in Emerald Ranch, who recently lost his life, possibly with it involving a gunfight at the local saloon. And now she either is locking herself away in the room, or her father is being overprotective, as it seems he is not allowing mail to reach her. But yeah, this doesn't appear to be a kidnapping or a haunting, but just another strange mystery involving a grieving girl who sometimes stares outside her window. Going inside of the Grizzlies East map marker, right under the letters G and R, you'll find a meditating monk who, well, he just kind of sits there meditating all day. Whenever you try to interact with the monk, he'll simply take a glance at Arthur Morgan and then go back to his business. Not much really to say other than the fact that this guy is certainly dedicated to what he does. This time southeast of Emerald Station, you'll find a campsite of a lonely, somewhat creepy dude who talks and asks about romance and love. After this brief conversation, if you take a closer look at the lad's tent, you'll see some revealing photos of women, and it looks like this is likely what he spends most of his time looking at. To New Austin, if you go all the way north of Cholla Springs, you'll find more of these exotic images, along with a very unique weapon. There's a few different caves which lead to nothing, but if you get to the right one, you'll find a chest holding Otis Miller's revolver, and some of these revealing photos that you can collect. The revolver is rare and has a description in the compendium that says, "A rare Schofield revolver made of gold and ivory and adorned with custom engravings, found inside a cave in Cholla Springs. This weapon appears to have once been owned by the famed gunslinger Otis Miller. This gun has an ammo capacity of 6 rounds and can use regular, high-velocity, split-point, express, and explosive revolver ammunition." Not much I really can add about this weapon, as I've only used it so far a few times, but it has one of the best designs, and the Schofield overall is one of my favorite guns from Red Dead Redemption. But nearby, if you head to Rathskeller Fork, you'll find a unique mask hanging in the sheep pen, and so far we found a pig's mask, a pagan mask, and a cat skull mask. And I will say the ram mask is now my personal favorite, and I feel it's the most intimidating of these rare masks. Now, outside of Armadillo, a little south of the town, you'll find some old broken down houses, which one of them has a box with some valuables inside, but the point of interest is the individual who worked until their death, and judging by the facial structure, it's hard to say if this lady was human or not. And in Arthur's journal, she is labeled as Donkey Lady, so yeah. Heading south of Cholla Springs, just outside of Mercer Station, you'll find a bunch of wagons abandoned and arrows all around the site, which is clearly alluding to some of the struggles between Native Americans and the people pretty much taking their land during this time. In Red Dead Redemption, we were told of these struggles, and in some parts you could find similar locations with arrows being found around abandoned wagons. Going as west as you can before you reach the Sea of Coronado, you'll find an old corpse of a missionary, and after inspecting the body you'll find a letter sent from Cardinal Blanco to Brother Rodolfo, and it says, Madrid, November 24th, 1797. My dear Brother Rodolfo, thank you for your letter. Sometimes politics and the ways of the church are not as pure as perhaps you wish they were. The world is the world of men. Yes, you say, God has given it to us, but we must live in the world as it is amongst men, some of who are both very powerful and not entirely receptive to our message, such as the king at this time, or at least so are his envoys. Perhaps my weakness is a terrible sin, and the concessions I granted them will lead me to hell, as you suggest, but equally, it is possible that your pride is also perhaps a little sinful. I do not know. I have learnt that we are at our most vulnerable when we judge others harshest. I beg you to reconsider your plan to leave the mission. We need your energy here amongst men. Perhaps, as you say, God calls you from the east as once he called the Magi. But firstly, I would like to remind you the Magi traveled west, and your journey from the mission is an extremely perilous one. Like you, I believe in acts of blind faith, but unlike you, I do not believe God wants us to be stupid. Please stay in California until I arrive next March. I implore you to show wisdom, loyalty, and humility at this profoundly difficult time for all of our brotherhood in the New World, and to refrain from making this perilous and vainglorious journey alone. Our very survival depends on it. Sincerely, Cardinal Blanco. I implore you, definitely an iconic Bill Williamson line. I think Rockstar may have put that in there for that reason, but it seems this body is of Brother Rodolfo, who did not listen to the advice sent to him from the Cardinal, which ultimately is how he probably died just over 100 years ago. North of Brandywine Drop, you'll find the King of a Forest, who has his own little tree throne, and this conversation will happen between Arthur Morgan and the man.
Hey there, partner.
I thought I told you to go away.
You did.
Well, you haven't.
Why would I listen to you? You're a hermit.
I am not a hermit. I'm the king. The king!
But he'll afterwards just continue nagging at you to leave him alone, even throwing something at you, and if you threaten him or try shooting him, he'll jump down inside his tree, all alone like a real king, something he boldly states, although a fire bottle quickly can put an end to this king. All the way north of West Elizabeth, you'll encounter a hermit lady who is protected by 3 dogs, and like the hermit man found in Annisburg, they are hostile to anyone, and so you'll need to eliminate the dogs and the woman. But once Arthur has a chance to have a look at the woman and her home, it seems she was trying to become, or, well, she is, or acts as a witch, although it doesn't seem she's at all connected to the real witch's cauldron we discovered previously. Now, also in this area, close to the Devil's Cave, you'll find another point of interest, which is a crashed airship that looks like it failed badly. And this is actually a nice callback to a stranger quest in Red Dead Redemption, which also involved a flying machine. That quest was called the Dallas and Son, and involved us helping an inventor build his machine, which pretty much had the same outcome as this individual. But again, close by, this time a little east on the other side of the river, you'll find a dead bear and a man who looks like he got mauled to death by the bear, but was able to take the bear with him. Anyway, if you go to the bear, you can obtain the rare Antler knife, which has a description in the compendium that says, a rare knife with a handle manufactured from the antler of a stag, and part of the blade snapped off near the crossguard. This weapon is taken from the scene of a fight between a large bear and a hunter, which occurred near Hanging Dog Ranch and Big Valley, neither side won. Going to just outside of Manzita Post, you'll find a few abandoned circus wagons, and in one of the wagons you'll find the skeleton of a 2-headed woman, which likely is a reference to American Horror Story freak shows characters that are portrayed by Sarah Paulson, but in the other wagon there's a creepy ventriloquist dummy left behind sitting in a box. Now, to our last secret, this involves Arthur Morgan's past, and I don't know if you can consider this a spoiler, but it's some interesting details and images of Arthur's family and past. If you interact with Arthur's campsite, you'll be able to discover a newspaper cutout of Arthur's first robbery that happened in 1887, a picture of his mother Beatrice taken in 1870, a mugshot of his father Lyle in 1874, in which he was being arrested for larceny, and I mean, look at that stash. But next we have an image of Arthur's dog, and lastly an image of a clean-shaven and younger Arthur, Dutch, and Hosea. But nonetheless, we discussed a lot of new secrets and Easter eggs. I really am having a lot of fun with this series. If you did enjoy this video or found any informative value, make sure to leave a like, and let me know down in the comment section below any more Easter eggs or secrets that I have not mentioned before. But thank you for watching, consider subscribing for a lot more Red Dead Redemption 2 content to come, and remember, outlaws for life.